Peace, y'all. What's up? How you doing? This is our AM Inspiration Show to wake that ass up. Yes. Period. Yes, this is the AM Inspiration Show to wake that ass up. And today, the topic is the 4 agreements. Yes. So, with that being said, let's get right into this topic after another 120 of this chill vibe, period. Yes. So this is the AM Inspiration Show to wake that us up. I just want to remind y'all that we are streaming live from StreamYard, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Spooncast, which is another drop-in audio app that we use, Anchor, and it will be uploaded to our Spotify channel, which you can find a link to if you're in our Clubhouse rooms or on the Spoon app. You'll be able to find that link in the chat to actually follow the podcast on Anchor and Spotify. Any other places you're looking for us on, which is YouTube, Facebook, you can look up under the name Divine Intervention Show, and you will definitely see the AM Inspiration Show to wake that ass up. Now, this podcast general focus is to wake that ass up spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, and consciously. How about metaphysically as well? So today the topic is the 4 agreements, right? So you're like, what are the 4 agreements? What's that about? The 4 agreements definitely is an entire move. It's a whole vibe, right? Because it's an entire book, right? So the book is by this amazing author, okay? And it's called The 4 Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom. That's the name of the book, right? And the author name is Mr. Don Miguel Ruiz, right? So the first agreement that we're going to speak on is being impeccable with your word, right? Excuse me. So when you're thinking of like, what does it mean to be impeccable with my word, right? And you really had to sit back on it, like, being impeccable with my word, what does that mean? That's the first agreement, right? And these are agreements that you're making to yourself. You're not making them to anyone else. You're making them to yourself, right? Excuse me. And when you think about be impeccable with my word, be impeccable with my word, how can I be more impeccable with my word? So the first thing that comes to mind is what? Speaking with integrity. That's the number one way to be impeccable with your word, is to speak with integrity, okay? So by keeping that in mind, that you're going to speak with integrity, it's like, you know what? When I say something, I mean it, okay? I'm not looking around. I'm not looking around to impress people. I'm not just saying things to get people to pay attention to me and things of that nature. So say for instance, if you're talking to someone and they're like, okay, so I want you to do this and that for me, or do you know how to do this and that? And you're like, oh yeah, I know how to do that, and I've been doing it for this amount of time. But when it comes down to the job getting done, you're not able to perform. So it definitely relates to communicating honestly and openly, right? So no matter the situation, integrity ultimately means your moral principles are more imperative than your personal comfort, okay? And honesty can be uncomfortable sometimes to some people, right? So keep that in mind when you are thinking, what does this look like to me? What does this look like when I'm like how I show up? How does this look? Okay. So it definitely another key factor to speaking with integrity is expression of gratitude for other people. So people with integrity recognize that their friends, coworkers, family, and community make their existence better. Okay. They're always in the attitude of gratitude. Okay. And by actually showing the attitude of gratitude, they are remembering to say things like thank you, you know, and also showing up for other people. So thinking of like how to express the attitude for gratitude even more is taking time to write thoughtful notes to maybe your coworker or email um on the completion of a project, or celebrating each other, or even going the extra mile to give gifts to your friends or family members when they've supported you through a difficult time. Okay, now another way to speak with integrity is by taking responsibility for your actions, both high vibrational and low vibrational. Okay, and you're not looking to make excuses or anything about anything. So when you have integrity, it means that you're accountable for your own actions, even if you miss the point. Like if you miss the mark, and you step up and take ownership when you do something well, right? So that's extremely important. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Integrity comes in a place, for the most part, is when you are not even the most part, but like it really shows up a lot when you are in a place of not getting things done the way you wanted to, or quote unquote failure, right? So when you live with integrity, you do grow a lot, but you have to you have this obligation to yourself to learn when you make a mistake, to fess up to it, face up to the mistakes that you've made, and correct it where you can make corrections. Okay. Now, another part of speaking with integrity is respecting yourself and those around you, no matter where you are. Point blank, period. This is a big thing about integrity that a lot of people do not display. So you might not think of boundaries when you think of integrity, right? But when you're living in integrity, it means living at peace within your own values and relationship boundaries, okay? So whether it's with your personal or interpersonal relationships, they definitely help you to foster that more, okay? So integrity means respecting others' boundaries as well. So when you think of something someone don't want to do, or even it comes down nowadays to even using gender pronouns with people, that it comes into play that you don't want to offend people purposely. You don't want to show up as like, this person is not a respectful person. This person is not a caring person. This person does not, you know, they're not aware of the impact that they make in such a low vibrational way. And you don't want anyone, and it's not like, I mean, you don't live your life for validation, but you don't want to show up like that just for fuck's sake, just because you want to be right. That's crazy. Okay. So also, another part of a humongous part of integrity is when you have the desire to help those in need without sacrificing your own health, right? So when you have integrity, you're not going to pour from empty cups. When you notice your cup is getting low, you're going to pull back, you're going to restore, you're going to rejuvenate, you're going to rest, you're going to get the 3 R's, okay? So this trait goes hand in hand with respecting yourself and other people as well, because that self-love is not being measured on the ability to do for other people. It's just not. You are making sure that the home is taken care of first, and you are making sure that your priorities are met and your basic physiological needs are met as well before you're out there in the world trying to handle everyone else's problems and everyone else's situations. Okay? So that's about like having integrity means helping others with their time as well, abilities, and possibly like, financially as well. But self love and self care is top priority over everything, because without you, then who? Dun dun dun. Period. So the thing I really love about having integrity, or a lot of integrity, is that without even trying, when you're an authentic person, when you have integrity, you definitely display uh you demonstrate that you're a reliable being and that you're trustworthy, right? So actually knowing how to build trust is imperative in all aspects of your existence, right? So especially when it comes to integrity with interpersonal and personal relationships, it's like, how would you even survive out here in these streets without having any integral background, or integral skill sets, or values, if anything, like valuing yourself and valuing the spaces that you're in, valuing people, all that is imperative, right? So when you're thinking about, like, say for instance, if you have like a team or some people that you may have worked with or things like that of that nature, being reliable and being trustworthy will help you to master chi or master G after all your physiological needs are met and things of that nature. um and it will also, give you a reputation of someone who gets things done, someone who does things with pride, someone who does things with respect, someone who do things with integrity. And if that's not a great thing to be known for, then I don't know what else is. Period. Okay. So keep that in mind. Um, Showing patience and flexibility is extremely important, especially when obstacles come into play, right? So let's go deeper into that, because we talked about how some people chase happiness, but other people are, growing with being content, right? So when you have integrity and you're overcoming like the experiences with this existence or this realm, and you're going to gain something called resilience, right? So say for instance, if you lost your job or you perhaps got fired and you felt angry, you felt dismissed, you felt disregarded, and at first, but like eventually you like, you know what, I'm going to get me a better job. I have this optimism, I know I'm going to get me a better job, I know something's better coming. And you don't dwell on that, you don't let that ruin your life, and you use it as an opportunity for growth. So you know that with some a little bit of patience and being flexible, that you can definitely change your situation, either immediately or within time, right? So those are like some of the best things that I think of when I think of how to speak with integrity, when the first agreement is literally being impeccable with your words, right? So the next one is saying only what you mean, okay? Period. So when you think of like say what you mean, like say what you mean and mean what you say, like don't say what someone else means. Um don't say what your grandmother means, say what you mean. And this is what I mean by, I had this discussion and I was saying that sometimes I think that certain people shouldn't speak on relationships if they're not having like real life experiences hands on, or they're not having training or coaching or things of that nature to actually talk about relationships. Because I feel like a lot of people take their personal dysfunction, and they spread it around everywhere because they feel like that everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And nowadays it seems like people's opinions are more highly regarded than facts, more highly regarded than someone who has training or knowledge in a certain area. And that's where I'm like, nope. Mm-mm. So I guess I can get the trumpets for myself because nope. Wow. Okay, so I just really just think about it like a lot of people are not saying what they mean. They're regurgitating information, and they're not actually in a space where they have the knowledge to speak on something, right? And it's like, okay, how can you be a person who's impeccable with their word if you're not actually meaning what you say? If you're not living up to it, if you are not practicing, if you're not gaining the knowledge, if you are not using if you're not persevering through it, if you're not showing up as you say you are, then how can you sit here and say what you mean, but you don't really mean what you say, period. And I'm not like word playing with you because I know it sounds like wordplay. It definitely sounds like wordplay. Excuse me. So saying what you mean is definitely about having consistency between your thoughts and words. And it's definitely an intent, like we talked about yesterday about that that statement of intent to yourself to be honest and truthful, and it definitely represents your understanding when you're describing things verbally, right? So keep that in mind, okay? Now, when you think of like, why should I say what I mean? Because when you actually mean it, it shows and allows you to gain more confidence in your own self, period, okay? So you're acting on a principle you've instated just by communicating openly, if that makes any sense, right? So you can see how it goes in hand, like, okay, I'm saying what I mean and I'm standing on it 10 toes because I know I have the information, I know I have the knowledge, I know I have all these things that will back up what I'm saying, and I have no worries after that. I don't have to lie, I don't have to remember lies, I don't have to remember, times and dates because I stand 10 toes on what I said. Period. And it's not like being combative, it's basically saying that when I said it, I meant it. I had everything to back it up. It came from a good place, it was intentional, and this is why I said it, and I don't feel like I, had to repeat myself. Okay. Um, is a lot of ways that you can do that. So let's go over a few more ways on how you can actually show up, in that way of saying only what you mean. Because a lot of things is like background noise that we say. A lot of things are not meant to say. A lot of things are inappropriate. A lot of things don't even matter. They don't even get remembered. So why are we saying these things? Just because we love to talk doesn't mean we should not. That doesn't mean we should speak without intention. Yes, I'm all about intentional living, intentional speaking, and I feel like if I have nothing nice to say, I will not talk to people. If I have nothing, like productive to say, you won't hear me speaking to anyone. It's no point because it's useless. It's not information. It's not going anywhere, and it's just like wasting breath when you could just use that on breathing. Okay, so let's go over a few things, and we're going to jump right into the next one. And yeah, so by giving and receiving honest input to others when you're being impeccable with your word, both people know that they're going to be told the truth. Okay, you're giving up, you know, um, the same thing, and you're hopefully getting it back. Okay, but it's not your responsibility to think, oh, are they telling me the truth back, right? Um, so you don't have to say everything you're thinking, um, but everything you do say has to be accurate. That's basically what I'm saying. So moving right along is listening to your person that you're speaking with, interpersonal or personal relationships, or even if you're just doing a blog. Okay, it's imperative to be an active listener when you're speaking to someone else, though. Okay, and that means mastering two important tools: reflection of content and reflection of feelings. Okay, so reflection of content definitely means that you're listening to the person and that you're verified that you were hearing them. Okay, and actually saying what they say sometimes. You can repeat what they say back to you, and we went over that the other day as well up on the blog, on how to communicate um, in relationships. We didn't cover the whole thing, but we went over a few tips on how to do that. Okay, so keep that in mind if you're looking for some more tips to the key to communication, right? So reflection of feeling lets your partner or person that you're at work with, personal, interpersonal relationships, know that they have been heard. Okay, it's important to have communication skills, effective communication skills, and that where it's coming from, especially when you're talking to your partner, if it's coming from an emotional place, then they know that because you're able to express that. Okay, and you can actually say things like, you know, I think you're feeling this way or that way. It's up to you. But just saying these ways, like, I think this is what you mean. Did you say this? You give them an opportunity to correct you and tell you exactly what they mean. So listening to people and reflecting on what they say is a very important part of being impeccable with your word. Okay. I mean, only yes, being impeccable with your word, but saying only what you mean, right? So accepting feedback and being able to respond means that, if you're a person giving the feedback, you have to clarify your point of view, like we just spoke on, and just clarify if they need it even more. So staying in the moment, when you are staying in the moment, that means you're finding a place of non-distraction, because a lot of times you have conversations and you're talking about one thing and next you're yelling about something else, or you're at work, you're talking about one thing and next thing people are disinterested, or now they're talking about something else, and you have to make sure that you're actually talking and listening to others. So when the subject matter can become heated or difficult, you have to stay present in it. Don't go into that space in your head and take a time out and you be like this, okay? Yes, don't do that. Wow. So just keep in mind that you are not taking time out and you are definitely going to stay in the moment, and don't bring up things from the past, like old grudges, something someone did, if you claim to forgive them, or just things that people have done at work. Like, it's pointless, because what is it going to solve? You want to have a history or something in the middle of a conversation that you're using integrity with, and it's pointless. Okay. So another thing is, don't quit the discussion until it's done. Now, just keep in mind that from dragging it on, you can negotiate a time limit beforehand. Like, okay, I have a half an hour out of my time that we can discuss this, and that's it. That's it. That's it. When a half an hour comes, like, you know what? I'm glad that we had the time to sit down and talk about this, but I have to go. There's no need in draining yourself just because you want to talk to someone about something. There's no need in draining yourself, and no need in overextending yourself, and no need in doing that, because it doesn't reward you in any sort of way. So keep that in mind, right? Um, when you are in that. So the next one is to avoid using the word to speak against yourself and gossip about others. And that's so important, because when you're using the word to speak against yourself, like the self-effacing things, like, I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm dumb, I'm never going to be good enough, things like that, you're only putting it in your brain to remember these things, that you're none of those things, that you are those things when you're none of those things, excuse me. And why would you want to do that to yourself? It's self-effacing, it's self-harm, and gossiping about others is definitely a waste of breath, because where does it get you? What part of your life is elevated by talking about other people? Hello? Period. Okay. What part of your life is definitely elevated? No parts of your life, right? So using to the power of your word to in direction of truth and love, basically it just is a combination of everything we spoke on, about being impeccable with your word, right? So using the power of your word in the direction of truth and love is literally projecting energy out into the truth, right? So if you are impeccable with your word, right, you are definitely speaking with integrity. That was the first part of what we were talking about this morning. Then you are saying only what you mean, okay? Then you're avoiding using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. And then you get to the final part of that chapter, which is using the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. How do I do that? Okay. So you don't use all those things we talked about, right? You're not using what you're saying against people to hurt them. Your intention is to uplift, to motivate, to inspire, and there's nothing else behind it except for love, pouring out love, nurturing, and making sure that the glass is not half full. The glass is full, and you're drinking from the cup. And while you're drinking from the cup, you can pour out of the cup to others. And you're keeping it, nourished and everything else of that nature. You're not using words to harm other people, even if they make you mad. If you want to say something to someone, then say it to them. There's no need to go behind their back. There's no need to post about them on social media. There's no need to make someone feel bad. Even if they're doing it to you, there's no need to even play that game, because once you start doing that, they have all of your power. Period. Okay. So keep that in mind. So tomorrow we're going to be covering don't take anything personal, the next chapter of the four agreements. But today we did cover the first chapter, which is called be impeccable with your words. Our podcast is only 30 to 45 minutes. So yeah, we did cover it and it was like lovely. Hey Spoon, hey Spoon. Want to shout out to my Spoon family that's up online. Hey, how y'all doing? And yeah, I want to say hi to everyone that's possibly on Clubhouse. Let me go look on StreamYard and shout out to people on StreamYard and see what's up with that. So it's completely important to be impeccable with your word, period. When you're not impeccable with your word, you are not someone who can be trusted. That means you're not someone who definitely has integrity with you. You're not someone who shows up with intention to be honest, be direct, communicate effectively. You don't have that skill set yet. It's not developed. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast this AM. This was the AM Inspiration Show to wake that ass up. I am your host, Empress Coach Rena Nicole of RenaNicole.com, Divine Intervention Show and Podcast. Also, the spoon casting, the curve.net. And I did not mean to say spoon casting, but okay. So we were streaming live from Spoon, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, and Clubhouse. Yes, and also Facebook. So I definitely will see y'all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, peace, y'all. Thank you.